Почему ты такая милашка? Ну вот. Вот так. Потому что милашка. Классно. Говорите с горожанами, чтобы получать от них задания за помощь. Вы обязательно получите награду. Так. Я не знаю, есть ли смысл вон туда идти, потому что там начинается какой-то странный диалог. Чутьёвые. Зайдите позже ко мне в офис, Джонатан. А, ну то есть, да, походу надо туда. Скажи, что ты можешь. Да. У меня на этом моменте, кстати, вылетела игра.
Come on, you bastard. I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice?
А тут есть... я не знаю, есть ли тут влияние? Я ставлю васистика... Я... Ну-ка.
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
All right. Sorry. I am in pain here.
Кишки наружу.
Spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ну ж не просто так. Варианты ответов.
I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
Ага. Качество крови указывает на то, сколько единиц опыта вы получите, убив этого гражданина. Чем выше качество крови, тем больше опыта вы получите. То есть, если плохая кровища у людей, то можно чем-то заразиться. Либо если чувак чем-то болеет, загипнотизировать, чтобы... А чё, мне его надо все-таки загипнотизировать? Идите по красному пути, чтобы завести жертву во тьму. Обнять. Чем больше вы узнаете о горожанах, и чем больше собираетесь связаны с ними подсказки, тем больше получен опыт. А если я не хочу его убить? О, я его спасла, я не выпила у него кровь. А чё он? Он же раненый. Короче, у меня достижение какое-то открылось. Чувак просто сел. Все. Не сегодня. О, это что? Помать новую. Так важно. Я хочу разбить эти бочки. По-моему, они не разбиваются. Так, я понимаю, что здесь будет очень много всяких NPC. И со всеми ими нужно поговорить. И запомнить. Так, берегите свое и чужое здоровье, плюясь, чихая и кашля, вы распространяете инфлюенсу. Болезнь распространяется с капельками, вылетающими из носа и горла. Мне, кстати, бесит люди, которые идут и кашляют в общественных местах, причем плюются. Не знаю, мне не нравится. Очень часто замечаю такую хрень. Постоянно думаю о том, что можно же заболеть от такого. Вообще можно заболеть от чего угодно, но не знаю. Мне не нравится все равно такая херня. Не имею такой привычки плюваться. Что здесь? Какой-то дом.
It's locked.
Видимо, квестовое какое-то задание. Ладно, пойду по сюжету. Попасть в больницу. Так.
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before at the Rockefeller University.
Они все его знают.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Загипнотизировать. Поинтересоваться жизнью в Лондоне. Так, необходима подсказка.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Кто здесь хорошие люди?
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Будь она мужчиной, стала чертовским хорошим врачом, значит, не очень хорошая. Недостаточно хорошая.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this
Swansea.
facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator.
Не знаю,
I
он мне
just wish
почему-то
he would
не
get out of the
внушает
office.
доверия. все.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Swansea asked me to collect you, Dr. Reed. Hurry up.
Развить навык. Так, а где он его развивает? Пассивные. Не здесь, по-моему.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay
Клеем
Cox. He
коксом.
requires urgent
Клей
medical
кокс.
attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
I would like to ask a few questions first.
Так,
And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
он знает обо мне больше, чем я о нем. Я только познакомился с ним.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
If you could point me in the direction of my room again,
На
nurse.
втором этаже.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last
Последний
vacant
кабинет
office
в
at the
конце
end of the
коридора.
corridor.
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
Что-то надо найти комнату.
Safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
Я не знаю, думаю, еще успею с некоторыми
Good evening,
пообщаться.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Торговать, поинтересоваться жизнью в Лондоне.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Полночь в саду добра и зла. Новое расследование. Какое-то новое задание. Чтобы приступить к заданию, выберите его и, зажав после этого на карте, отобразится область, которую вы нужно исследовать. Подсказка заблокирована. Блин, тут еще они болеют. Я помню, и что-то нужно как-то их лечить, то ли чё.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And
Тут
why
вроде
not?
бы такая фишка. Так.
I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
Только подсказок.
I'd like to see your
Галать.
goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Дробовик. Хлам. Хлам, наверное, можно продать. Так, ладно. Зайти в кабинет на втором этаже.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Идеальное место для исследования. Бутылки. Так, это вроде здесь. Так, убежище, можно
This must be the
отдохнуть.
place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Хотя бы в гробу спать не придется. Так, статья об эконах. Это редкая возможность, даже привилегия, сблизиться с вампирами и наблюдать за их физиологическими и психологическими особенностями с научной, рациональной точки зрения. Вот некоторые из удивительных способностей, которые я наблюдал за последние 10 лет в ходе общения с вампирами или эконами. Как они себя называют? Так. Ну, это типа общий лор о том, что вообще умеют вампиры. Чутье на кровь, гипноз. Так. Сверхъестественная скорость. Тупо инфо.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Нужна вода. Да, есть место. Крафт какой-то, пополнить все, выйти. Что это? А как пополнить? Никак. Порошок, шиллинги. Создание приметов. Лекарства для больных горожан. Сыворотки для улучшения способностей. Детали для оружия. Ручное оружие. Новые рецепты, ингредиенты. Образец крови. Исследовать. Средства переутомления. Так, а мне нужно... Мне нужно что-то найти.
Blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Так, а качаться только возле кровати можно. Кровавое копье. 2000 опыта. Блин, у меня что-то мало очков опыта на самом деле. Теневой туман. $250. 1300. Организм. Пока качну это. $580. Не хватает. Пикирование. Тоже не хватит. Ну ладно.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
С жаждой. Третья полоска — это жажда крови, ночная смена. Я проанализировал кровь Уильяма Бишопа, но полной картины у меня еще нет. Кровь Уильяма стала менее стабильной, чем человеческая, и претерпела сильную мутацию. Но со мной случилось не это, придется искать дальше. Нужно собрать больше данных, у меня время есть, а вот у Лондона нет. Эпидемия убивает тысячи людей, весь город на грани катастрофы. Я начинаю подозревать, что все это как-то связано, но пока не вижу никакого правдоподобного объяснения. Так, я должен играть роль врача и помогать всем, кто нуждается в помощи, и одновременно продолжать поиски. Помочь справиться с эпидемией. Так. Открыть посетителю. Шо?
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
Я так понимаю, что мне нужно будет ходить по городу, искать ингредиенты всякие разные. Я запрещаю ходить в комнату. Здесь ничего нет, совсем никаких антисептиков.
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Войти в старый морг. основное задание, а занятие, я так понимаю.
I cannot enter.
Старая пила. Карта пациента. 28 лет. Так, типа, состояние выздоравливает. Дата поступления 16 сентября. Дата выписки не определена. Примечание. Во время войны лицо пациента было серьезно обожжено и деформировано при взрыве бомбы. Сильнейшую боль. Слово по словам огонь все еще горит под кожей. Осмотр рубцующихся тканей показал следов воспаления, инфекции или отеков. Шрамы чистые. Может, это случай неизлечимого повреждения нервов. Пациент постоянно винит себя в своих физических уродствах. Может, это случай чувства вины выжившего. Фантомная боль как наказание за то, что он не умер вместе со своими товарищами. Интересное, кстати, определение. Фантомная боль. Это, по-моему, такая тема возникает, когда, ну, у человека нет либо руки и ноги, не знаю, типа, и он уже заведомо, ну, то ли как ничего не чувствует, или чувствует, но это как на психологическом уровне.
It's locked, all right.
Так, ладно, вниз. Где-то, короче, во дворе за больницей, она сказала. Ого.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembrokesque Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma
Тельма
Halcroft.
You
Хоукрофт.
keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Поинтересоваться в жизни в Лондоне.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard's syndrome, Miss?
Что за синдром?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am
Интересно, ей
delusional?
можно помочь как-то?
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Halcroft?
It's only a cover to hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit
Может,
the
они
garden
все
with
здесь
them.
враги?
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Who are you really, Miss Halcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Но она не
Is
ответит.
that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Все, больше ничего нет.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
What your last thoughts would be, sir.
Королева тьмы. Ну, она правда на вампира похожа. А вот, кстати,
Good
этот
evening,
чел.
sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face.
По-моему, у которого
I
лицо
don't think you can
обожженное.
help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Которому 28 лет.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded
the one.
again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Кто вас лечит?
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen.
А почему он... А почему он...
The hotel was a shithole. There was
обманул?
a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front?
Из-за
That's not
этого?
uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans. And it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Весомая причина, можно сделать операцию, красота еще не все. Нельзя прятаться вечно. Ну-ка.
Beauty is not everything, Mr. Elwood.
Says Mr. Pretty Face.
Блять! Подсказка не сработала. Все? Он больше ничего не скажет?
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside.
Блин, я бы так не сказала, что она прям
I'm
безобидна.
busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain, It's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Where were you stationed?
I really...
No offense.
You were...
Блин, я как-то вот неправильно с ним
Goodbye for now.
пообщалась.
disgust on
И
every
теперь, возможно... Вот, подсказка утеряна.
God.
Time has
Плохо.
an effect on me. But the suffering continues.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is
Пипа
Hawkins.
Хокинс.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan
Hawkins.
Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
Поинтересоваться жизнью. Почему он постоянно спрашивает один и тот же вопрос, как дела обстоят, если тут все и так не очень? Понятно.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
Может,
It's
кто-то что-то
serious.
другое,
The flu is
конечно,
wreaking havoc
скажет.
amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Эта эпидемия не вечна.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
Есть на что надеяться, вы правы.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter.
Так, я не убедила
I'm
ее?
just too tired to give a...
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual. Especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know.
Токсик.
Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Одни подсказки нужны.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Либо подсказки, либо что-то еще.
A giant
Yuck.
morgue disguised as a hospital. That's Pembroke nowadays.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Как вы попали в логово?
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Зачем вы пошли к нему?
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Who should
Злоба.
I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers Trade Union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Почему вы не применили крест?
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
В смысле? Привет. А почему тогда на меня тот крест подействовал? Священник сказал, что крест не волшебный,
That's a very strange
не
question,
волшебный
Doctor.
амулет.
A cro-
Странный вопрос.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon,
Диакон?
maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
А почему
Not
тогда на
really,
меня
But I
подействовал?
recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Так, вот это очень интересно
cannot
уже.
enter.
Почему крестик не подействовал против вампира, а против меня подействовал? Вот это вот... Это уже странно. Какой-то ненастоящий, видимо, священник, либо что. Стеклянная пробирка. Так, а я вот с ней еще не разговаривала вроде.
Good
Не
evening,
разговаривала.
nurse.
А,
I'm
нет.
Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat
Блин, а как было бы, наверное, круто, если бы какие-нибудь вампиры, которые уже заражены, могли бы реально там помогать, что-то там делать. Кто, если не они? Вот в какую-нибудь заразу входить и там что-нибудь лечить, давать какие-то лекарства зараженным.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them? Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Есть выдающиеся
Is
таланты.
there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't
Мы
know
следует
when to
чаще
stop
думать о
and get
себе
some
и
rest.
отдыхать. А может быть, он вампир?
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Похвалить Типпетса.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left for Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Все.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Больше она ничего не скажет. Ведь смятое письмо. Клей, мне надоели твои выходки. Какого хрена ты это сделал? Теперь в доках все говорят, что мой муж выпустил кишки этому парнишке. Сколько раз я тебе повторяла, прежде чем достать нож, считай до 20. Как мы можем заниматься делами? Как можем требовать подчинения от людей, если ты убиваешь всех, кто тебя разозлил? Теперь пошли слухи, что какие-то родичи этого парня тебя ищут, а один даже поклялся тебя убить. Не приходи сегодня домой, тут на улицах какие-то странные патрули. Может, это ополчение коммунистов, а может, кто-то хочет тебя арестовать, спрячься где-нибудь на пару дней. Как насчет больницы или Уайтчепела? Сделай что-нибудь полезное для разнообразия, разберись там с делами. Когда все успокоится, я пришлю одного из наших сообщить, что ты можешь вернуться. Эдвина. Кто такая Эдвина? Я, видимо, еще и не встретила. Переутомление. Применить средства от переутомления. Применить лекарства. А у меня его нет. Ничем не болеет.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any...
Ничего не могу. Вы измотаны.
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart.
Не нужно ничего доказывать. Сестра Бранаган беспокоится. Бля. Не нужно ничего доказывать. Вы ведете себя безответственно. Ну, может быть, она на него как-то повлияет.
Nurse Brannigan,
She should not have told you that.
Бля.
you don't have to blame her for her honor.
I'm not that kind of man, my dear Jonathan.
Это не сработало?
Your
No.
Nurse, you don't. Goodbye, Doctor.
Это не сработало. Или еще непонятно. Он реально сейчас пойдет с ней разговаривать? Так. Блин. Походу, я что-то испортила. Или нет? Или да? Нет, он не пошел с ней разговаривать. Так, ладно. Куда мне идти?
Miss, please, I feel sick. Get over here now.
Good evening, Nurse.
Good evening.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawk.
Так. Обход там, наверное. Часто сопровождается пневмонией, чтобы предотвратить распространение, не уходить на улицу. Типа реальная болезнь такая есть.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to
Рычание
find
в саду.
somebody.
Бродячий скаль. Кто это? Блять. А вот их лучше, наверное, не пить. Их кровь. Ну чё они так возродились? Странно. Каким-то секачом бегаю. Свинцовая пластина. Будьте осторожны с ингредиентами. Найти полезные ингредиенты в старом морге. Есть какие-то тут враги опасные? Интересно. Ну это что, выход? Сразу же в больницу.
It's locked, all right.
Тут предметы как бы не очень, кстати, подсвечены. Какие-то кабинеты. Стеклянная пробирка. Чё, на второй этаж получается? Так.
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain.
Образец
This sickness
разбавленный
moves
чистой
faster
кровью.
than influenza.
Что-то нашла.
I cannot enter.
А как мне открывать эти двери? Патроны. Кстати, а как еще? Я что-то забыла про применение этих оружий. Можно же стрелять из них. Привет.
This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
Ключ отпирает дверь в подвал. Бутылка алкоголя. Что он достал-то? Я бы, наверное, не стала это их пить, пивать их кровь.
Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As
Популярная.
popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful.
Фига себе, ты выглядишь сегодня. Мини-косплей. Мрачный. Найди в саду потерянный бумажник. Это в этом саду?
It's locked.
Господи, что это? Я испугалась. Ну, что-то их так много.
These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
Скалли питаются трупами. Так. Картечь. Я даже ничего не покупаю. Я не заметила сообщения. Так, патологоанатом, больница, отчет расследования. Самуэль Коннор. Быстро прогрессирующая пневмония с вирусом, индуцированным уплотнением легкого, испанский грипп.
Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. It's locked. It's locked, all right.
Какие-то ножи. Помочь. Бывает столько дверей. Господи, кто это? Какой-то вампир. Их два? А, типа, вот их двое. Господи. Где еще один? А, нет, это он есть. Если не стану сильнее. Блин, а где здесь можно выпить кровь, кроме крыс, чтобы не пить людей? Пил пот на барахолке. О. Средства-то не умею. Получается готовить. Переработать. Бутылка дешевого джина. Так, что там надо? Раствор гипохлорида натрия. Ничего нет такого. Что-то на самом деле не так-то уж много и всяких изготовить средства от переутомления. Всяких этих, что ли. У меня нету раствор гипохлорида натрия. Где его взять? Найти потерянный бумажник. Какие-то двери странные. О, нашла. зомби этих падает. Не знаю, хватит мне. Дороти Крейн. Так, наверх надо. Они опять восстали. Блин, я что-то такая слабая, если честно. Меня что-то замочить могут. Ау! Уже. Кстати, у меня регенерация происходит. Заметила. Какой-то бумажник в саду надо найти. Так. Кровь. Это не он случайно? Фотография в бумажнике. Милтон и Пипа навсегда.
So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affections well.
Хорошо скрывают свою связь. Получается так. 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 Сюда я вышла. Или что, мне надо туда обратно идти? Что-то открылось. Новое.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You-
Duty calls. When the storm...
Many thanks, Doctor. When you finished, you ought to
Зайдите в кабинет. Крысы в больнице.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
Обедают и тихо плачут.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane.
Жесть.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
С ним какой-то тоже квест, по-моему, интересный. Есть.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
Подсказка, подсказка.
Goodbye for...
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen.
Говорить с Эдгаром Сноуси. Так.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more...
Yes, thanks to my husband.
May I ask if you have...
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Как вас здесь приняли?
What do you think of your reception here?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not...
Что думаете о больнице?
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital.
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Я разделяю ваши чувства, это вымогательство.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Так.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Чтобы проверить состояние здоровья, нажмите Е.
Do you need any help?
Дать лекарство.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing.
And you have my gratitude.
How painful is your...
So painful, I'd rather not talk.
Ну, тогда отдыхайте, нам нужно разговаривать.
I'll let you...
Don't waste your time.
Good evening.
I'm okay.
Tell me
I
about...
don't want to talk.
Блин, может потом с ним поговорить? А так вообще можно?
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems
My mother just wants the best for me.
Is your mother bothering you?
That's tempting, Doctor.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox.
It's not me you have to convince, Doctor.
How...
So painful.
I'm sure you realize...
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not...
Yes, maybe.
I have to
Так,
go...
ладно.
Doctor.
Можно ли, интересно, будет зайти потом?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival.
Does my arrival inconvenience?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swans's enthusiasm
Я не
for hiring
разделяю
you. What
восторгов.
we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Так, враждебность.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital...
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the...
Это враждебность ни к чему. Зависть вам никак не поможет. Минитон. Ну-ка.
You are going to change your tone with me, my dear colleague.
I don't think so. Perhaps you think yourself protected by...
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine...
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me.
Carelessness?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust...
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor.
Modern medical methods were created through...
Мне кажется, что они типа пытаются вылечить, но кто-то распространяет эту типа заразу, возможно, в больнице. И это как будто бесконечно продолжается все, что вообще нет никакого результата.
I don't know what you've heard about me.
I don't question your skills, Doctor.
And what exactly...
I served in the war just like you.
Be careful what you insinuate.
I only want you to admit you used those men.
Я спас много жизней, знания нашего главного оружия, не считая нужным оправдываться. Ну-ка.
Knowledge has always been.
It is not a question of initiative. It is a question.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Не особо разговорила его.
Thank you for your...
Блин, тут такой рандом.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of you.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland. Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer
Большой
of your work,
поклонник.
Dr. Reed.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own
Может, ему, кстати,
experiment
он
that
завидовал,
convinces the
тот
future.
чел предыдущий. В экспериментах.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
Привет. Исследования изматывают, ставьте лезть. Исследования изматывают. Дурак
It's
помочь.
always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to...
Блять, как тут все странно.
This epidemic may be the century's most...
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Расскажите мне историю мистера Фидика, вы должны быть беспристрастным.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Aykroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings.
Блин, сколько тут еще
Goodbye,
подсказок.
Dr. Strickland.
Всяких.
Good evening, Mr. Fick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey.
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
А причина гибели
How could
жены?
your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick, unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Goodbye for now.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen.
Так, я еще здесь не всех узнала. Переутомление, восстановление. Они восстанавливаются через какое-то время. Не забывайте, кровь горожан дает много опыта. Ищите тех, чей уровень гипноза меньше или равен вашему. Не обязательно обдумывать свое решение. Блин, а если я не хочу гипнотизировать? Так. Ну-ка.
Good evening, Miss.
I need blood, Doctor.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel...
Нас будто что-то связывает. Вы собираетесь сделать его вампиром?
Do you plan to make...
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on any...
Would you say you and Mr...
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul.
Это женщина, которая ему нужна.
I'll leave you.
Бля, может быть... Ничем не болеет. Может быть, ее сожрать вообще?
Good evening. Goodbye.
А если я ее сожру, что будет?
It's locked, all right.
Так, я находила какую-то записку в подвале.
Good evening, Nurse Brand.
Ой, здесь.
I'm not familiar with
Brilliant.
most.
It would.
Goodbye, nurse.
А он еще тут? Этот челик был здесь. А его и нету. Ага, можно туда, на ту сторону пойти.
I cannot enter.
Так. Это кто?
Please, sir. I need
Нужна
help bad.
помощь.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. What can you tell me about yourself?
I'm Oswald's
Какой-то
best
странный
friend.
он.
We served in the same regiment, sir. Taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you...
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. He...
А он не мертв случайно?
Where was your...
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital.
I have all...
Thank you. Have you found...
Not yet.
All right.
Ничем не
I
болеет.
have all the information I need for...
Thank you.
Поговорить с Эдгаром Сноуси.
Oswald, you can't just die like this.
Так, отнести бумажник владельцу. Так.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doc.
Why do you have such a...
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors of...
I know it's a difficult task.
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't...
Yeah, exactly. We...
Возможно, он, кстати, прав.
I have some good...
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet. With all the money.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to
Рот на
keep your
замке, но
mouth shut.
все, не
Not
все ведь.
everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
Торговать.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
Вас обоих могли уволить.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support you.
You do realize you could both get fired.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
А мы можем его сдать?
Goodbye.
Мне кажется, что да.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
Эдгару Сноуси. Свонси. Но я думаю, что это делать не стоит. Так, а здесь что? А ничего такого. О, я с ней разговаривала?
It's locked.
Да, длинное письмо. Привет, сестренка, как дела в большом городе? Здесь не очень хорошо. Похоже, тут снова свирепствует люфицена. И в квартале много больных. Помню мисс Шеллер, старуху-пьяницу с 3-го этажа? Она умерла 2 дня назад. А ее квартиру уже заняли. Спать в кровати, в которой женщина только что умерла от люфицины, я бы согласилась только за огромные деньги. Извини, что не сразу нашла время, чтобы тебе ответить. Я ведь забочусь о малыше. Поле, маме, папе и работаю на заводе. Так что времени написать любимой сестре не остается. Кстати, мой сын передает привет тете Пиппе. В следующий раз ты привезла один из этих чудесных тортов. Кто это пишет? Любящая тебе сестра Люси. Пол, мама и папа. В прошлом письме ты написал, что думаешь уйти. Честное слово, Пип, не спеши с этим. На заводе всегда нужны рабочие, но платят хреново, а работа скучная, как день без страха. Кстати, у меня новый жених. Сучка-моралистка, я не шлюха, так что если действительно хочешь заниматься не подсчетом трупов, а чем-то более полезным, то лучше оставаться в Лондоне, вступая в тот отряд, по которой ты сговорила. Стражи Привина, да? Никогда про них не слышала. Но если они такие, как ты говоришь, если это какое-то ополчение, которое хочет что-то изменить, то они тебя подойдут. Мы видно, Билли, так во Франции погиб слишком часто, возглавлял патрули. Любящая сестра Люси. Так. Пипа Хокингс. Информация. Пипа приберегает койки для тех, кто готов платить. Так. А с ней об этом, типа, поговорить можно? Неизвестно. Кто это? Не разговаривала. Не могу туда пойти, тут заперто.
You are going to reveal all your secrets to me, even the darkest thoughts in your heart.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Хотите уйти из больницы?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to
Я
make
хочу
things
делать
change.
больше. Вам есть чем гордиться, вы нужны пациентам, это неприемлемо.
You should be proud of what you've achieved. This hospital represents hope for many people in need of help.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
Хотите большего?
What steps are you prepared to take to feel more useful?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is what I must do.
Как насчет Милтона Хукса?
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you...
On the contrary, my faith has never been strong.
Так, необходима подсказка.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins, but are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke.
Goodbye.
Так, всего обманщики, требуются медсестры. По-моему, там в своем кабинете. А где? На 3-м этаже? Нет.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes.
Я ему не доверяю.
Biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between
Не
life
знаю
and
почему.
death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
Ваши слова успокаивают. Это не дар, ходячее противоречие.
I'm a dead man. I was murdered. Now I'm a murderer. Tell me how this is a gift.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so
Так.
much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
Это не смешно, не стоит извиняться, мы нужны друг другу.
Thank you. But I'd rather you didn't speak so lightly about my condition. There is nothing I find amusing about this situation.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Что, с ним еще можно поговорить?
Do you need...
I have just...
Then ask away.
Насчет вашего братства.
You mentioned something about a secret society. A brotherhood, if I recall. Could you elaborate?
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we know. Forget the myths, the hackneyed scrawlings in the Penny Dreadfuls. They do not scratch the surface of the truth you now find yourself in.
The sun. The morning following my transformation. Its rays burned me. There was pain, smoke, and my skin blackened.
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, And blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
Что? Котик.
Since I'm the one working for you, what should I know about Pembroke Hospital?
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here, as well as provide healthcare.
Каково наше положение, чего ожидать от меня?
Where do we stand today?
Oh, to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis. The first wave of the Spanish flu last summer took us by surprise. We lack many of the basic necessities needed.
Мне кажется, он сам вампир.
What do you
Хотя нет,
expect
не
of me?
факт.
What we need is hope. You were a soldier. This is a war. This white coat's still a uniform. We fight to help the poor, the sick of the East End, the forgotten.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
How do Skulls come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
Презирают.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a
Неразумные.
A skull is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
We'll see each other.
Так. Письмо с предупреждением. Дорогой доктор Сноуси, считаю своим долгом сообщить о своих опасениях относительно случая с доктором Тора Стринглингом Харви Фридриком. Мистера Фидика госпитализировали с тяжелой производительной травмой. Производственной. Если не провести правильный курс лечения, он может лишиться руки. Доктор Скрикланд утверждает, что хирургическое вмешательство может полностью исцелить. А я заявляю, что рука может навсегда лишиться многих функций, если возникнут сложения. Наш юный коллега, смелый и одаренный хирург, через несколько лет возможно, станет превосходным специалистом, но сейчас он не обладает необходимыми навыками для проведения такой рискованной операции. Должен ли я напомнить вам о ошибках, которые он совершал в прошлом, поскольку доктор Стрикленд отказывается меня слушать, я настолько рекомендую вам запретить ему проведение столь опасного эксперимента. Так, все-таки он не такой уж и крутой, чтобы делать операции. Редкие виды вампиров. Слабости вампиров. Так, а он что-то скажет по поводу него? Ничего нет вроде. Говорить с покровительницей больницы.
It's locked, all right.
О. Нужно так выйти сразу же. Загадочный рецепт. Средства от простуды. Опиум, эрготамин. Улучшить. Твою мать. Хернёй какой-то бегаю, если честно. Оборонительный, наступительный, организм, кровь. Выносливость. Наука. 3 сыворотки. Мне бы что-нибудь на регенерацию. Увеличивать запас здоровья. Что-то не открывается. Покать. Пикирование. Повышает урон от укусов в бою. О, быстрое восстановление. Не хватает. Можно сбросить, кстати. Так. Каждую ночь вы своими действиями улучшаете или ухудшаете состояние района. Состояние также может ухудшиться из-за болезни, распространения болезней. Ну и... А как его найти? Ничем не болеет. Он, кстати, выздоровел. Надо к нему зайти. Спросить, что там. Узнать. Может, он сможет рассказать что-то больше? Ну-ка. Ничего не будет.
Have you heard about any blackmail going on in this hospital?
Blackmail? Nonsense.
Чепуха.
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr.
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory.
Это неэтично.
Is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Вы хотите провести эту операцию?
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Бля, доверяю вашему опыту. Вы человек старых взглядов. Примите всю ответственность. Вы примите свою ответственность. Вы человек старых взглядов. Ну, похуй.
I really hope you're right about this, Dr. Ackroyd.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his...
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland...
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal...
Thank you.
Но он, конечно, говорил, что он неопытный.
Good evening, Doctor. And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I...
Tell me, Thoreau, what
He refuses to admit that your blood
what Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform.
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd's...
Have you heard any talk of black...
If you're running some official inquiry, you had better quit.
Но если он восхищается моими знаниями, значит, why not? Почему бы и нет? Можно, может быть, стоило все-таки согласиться с ним.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Have you heard talk of any blackmail here at the hospital?
No, nothing.
Ничего не слышал.
Reads me like a book.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Чё? О, Господи. Спасибо за рейд. 37 человек.
Have you heard rumors of blackmail going on in this hospital?
Dr. Reed, are you trying to take advantage?
Of course not, Mrs. Goswick. I'm just curious.
Well, go be curious somewhere else, please.
Что она сказала?
Dr. Reed, are you trying to take...
Of course not, Mrs.
Well, go be curious.
Поинтересуйтесь кого-нибудь другого. А что никто не пишет?
Goodbye, Mrs.
Что-то рейд проведен, а никто не пишет ничего.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye.
This hospital...
Good evening, Mr. Goswick.
I'm okay.
Сильно ли у вас болит горло?
So painful, I'd rather not talk.
Have you heard rumors about blackmail in this hospital?
No.
I have to...
Ну, большинство пациентов пока говорит, что ничего не слышали о шантаже.
This hospital seems to be falling apart. But in the circumstances,
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Damn. The pain.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Чё не скажет так?
Good evening. Have you heard rumors of underhand dealings in the hospital?
If you want to know what's going on here,
Миссис
you better talk to Miss Jones.
Джонс, она знает все, в том числе то, что ей знать и не следовало бы.
Goodbye.
Миссис Джонс. Блин, сколько тут всяких интрижек.
Hello again.
Goodbye.
Странных.
It's locked.
Она что-нибудь скажет?
Good evening. Have you heard of any blackmailing going on within these walls?
I have no time for mortal games. My secret...
I'll leave.
Так.
Good evening, Dr.
Dr.
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
I have no time for such triviality.
Goodbye, Doc.
Миссис Джонс, это она?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Нет, это не
Goodbye,
то.
nurse. Call me.
кто это? О.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet lady of mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment.
Мне кажется, она сама не понимает, что он предатель, возможно.
The lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Меня использовали. Сноуси интересуется вампирами. Я рад вас видеть.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
Я вам не верю, я вам верю.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
Так.
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
Местных это типа в городе?
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Это правда, я разберусь.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
Мне нужна информация, мне нужна кровь, это логично.
Excuse my impertinence, your ladyship. This is not an interrogation. I assure you that this line of questioning is in your best interest.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
Она могла бы этого не рассказать, наверное.
Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition. Is our little mystery close?
I think of nothing.
My situation is
Ой, куда она... Жесть. Чё она так убегает? Ну-ка.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doc.
Сестра Хокинс хочет уволиться.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins...
That's not a surprise.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right.
Он знает.
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
There are a lot of secrets round here. I'm not surprised someone tried to make money from them.
What kind of secrets?
I'm not in the gossip business, Dr. Reed. If you want to know more, you better talk to Harriet Jones. She's the oldest patient here.
Goodbye, Milton.
Кто такая Харриет Джонс? Неизвестно. Я, походу, не всех тут узнала. Харриет в больнице. А вот открылась дверь. Так.
What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
У меня много... Замолчите, прошу, успокойтесь.
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
Бля, можно сказать, заткнись.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
Вы и есть шантажист, любите сплетни?
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
You seem to know more about the goings-on here than anyone else. Beware, Miss Jones, in case suspicion should fall on you.
That's it. Blame the old and infirm. I see those little bitches' greedy little eyes. Just waiting for me to pop off they are.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, Whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round.
Не удалось поговорить. Так, во. Крыса в
The
больнице.
patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
Hello.
Goodbye, mister.
Так. Записка какая-то лежит, вон. Так, я, наверное, пока что в этом все. Ничего не скажет.
Goodbye. Disgust on every street corner. Daily routine.
Пока что все.